In a recent interview on CNN, anchor Jake Tapper challenged Texas Governor Greg Abbott over the Republican Party's election strategy. The conversation quickly turned tense when Tapper asked, "What gives you the right?" referring to Abbott's efforts to remove Democratic lawmakers and reshape voting districts in Texas. Governor Abbott defended his actions by saying that some Democratic lawmakers were not doing their jobs. He was talking about the group that left the state to block a vote on new election laws. Abbott claimed they were ignoring their duty and letting down their voters. Tapper pushed back. He said voters had chosen those lawmakers, and removing them would go against the will of the people. He also questioned whether the redistricting plan was fair or just a way to help Republicans win more seats. The governor said the new voting maps would help Hispanic and Black voters choose leaders who represent them. But critics say the maps are designed to give Republicans more control in future elections, especially in 2026. Here is a clip from the interview.
Abbott joins us now. So, Governor, 4 items related to flood relief are on the agenda. When you call the next special session, would you consider removing redistricting from the agenda in order to pass this very, very starkly needed relief for Texans?
So a couple of things. One is the first 4 items on the agenda right now deal with flood relief. Second is during the regular session, there are about 200 pieces of legislation that get passed every single month. I'm asking for only 18 items to be passed during this 30-day special session. They know full well that they have every capability of addressing all these pieces of legislation. And what these Democrats have done, they have turned their back on the people of the state of Texas. For one, it is gutless for Democrats to cut and run. That's anti-Texan. Ever since the time of the Alamo, Texans have stood and fought their ground. Here, Democrats are fleeing like a bunch of chickens. Second, they can address both the redistricting map as well as all these other issues that are so important to their fellow Texans. Know this, and that is average Texans who are watching this show, they have to show up to work. If they don't show up to work, they could get fired. These Democrats think they are above that. These Democrats think, well, they can take the day off, they can take the month off, they can jet set across the country, ignoring their duty. By the Constitution, they are required to meet and consider and act on every bill that becomes before them. They're failing to fulfill their constitutional duty.
Yeah, they are, just to explain for our viewers who are not Texans, as the minority party with a very small minority, they argue that their only way to stop this redistricting effort is to deny Republicans in the State House a quorum. So that's why they're doing what they're doing, just to provide their explanation. The Texas Tribune reports that in June, you told Texas Republican delegation in Congress that you were reluctant to add redistricting to the legislative agenda in Austin. The Tribune says that President Trump then called you to discuss redistricting, and you agreed to put it on the special session agenda. Would you have gone forward with redistricting if President Trump had not personally gotten involved and asked you to do this?
To be clear, Jake, this is something that I've been interested in for a long time. First of all, I've been involved in redistricting litigation for more than 20 years now. Second, one thing that spurred all of this is a federal court decision that came out last year. By the way, a case that was filed by Democrats. The federal court decision that came out last year said that Texas is no longer required to have coalition districts. And as a result, we had drawn maps with coalition districts in it. Now we wanted to remove those coalition districts and draw them in ways that, in fact, turned out to provide more seats for Hispanics. For example, 4 of the districts are predominantly Hispanic. It just coincides it's going to be Hispanic Republicans elected to those seats. One thing that's happened in the state of Texas is the Hispanic community, a lot of it, have decided they're no longer with the Democrats who believe in open border policies, who believe in going against our law enforcement, who believe that men should play in women's sports. And they instead align with the Republicans. What we want to do is to draw districts that give those Hispanics and African Americans in the state of Texas the ability to elect their candidate of choice.
Well, that's not really, I mean, you're doing this to give Trump and Republicans in the House of Representatives 5 additional seats, right? I mean, that's the motivation, is to stave off any midterm election losses.
Again, to be clear, Jake, the reason why we're doing this is because of that court decision. Texas is now authorized under law that changed, that was different than in 2021 when we last did redistricting. Under new law, as well as new facts that surfaced in the aftermath of the Trump election, showing that many regions of the state that historically had voted Democrat, that were highly Hispanic, now chose to vote Republican and vote for Trump as well as other Republican candidates. Districts where the electorate voted heavily for Trump, they were trapped in a Democrat congressional district. They have every right to vote for a member of Congress who's a Republican. We will give them that ability.
The law is pretty clear that state legislators in Texas denying the majority party a quorum can be fined and can even be arrested. But now you and your administration are taking the unusual step of asking for Democratic leader Gene Wu, who we played a clip from a little while ago, to be actually removed from office. What gives you the right to override the will of his voters who elected him?
So I think the will of the people who elected him are not being met right now. The people who elected him, as well as the other Democrats who've run from their duty, they didn't elect them to run off to Illinois. They elected them to go to Austin, Texas, and cast votes as required by the Constitution. What I have the authority to do as governor is to require these members of the legislature to follow the Constitution, which is very clear on its face, where it says that these legislators must act on bills before them. They're refusing to perform their constitutional duty, and that's exactly why I filed that lawsuit in the Texas Supreme Court, and the Texas Supreme Court has required Gene Wu to respond to that, and the Texas Supreme Court is considering that right now. And what I'm seeking to do in that case is to have Gene Wu removed from office for failing to perform his constitutional requirement.
So your state had a Congresswoman, Kay Granger, who tragically developed dementia, and then in the middle of her, I guess, second year in office, in her final term, she and her family just checked her into a dementia center in Texas, and nobody represented that congressional district for like 6 to 8 months or something. And I don't recall you saying anything then.
Well, I have the authority to apply the Texas Constitution to these members of the Texas House of Representatives. With regard to members of Congress, that's going to be up to the congressional delegation and to the federal laws of which the state would have no control over. What I do have control over, Jake, is what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And that is, I called a special session, I put items on the agenda, and by Texas law, those runaway Democrats are required to act on that agenda. They're failing to do their duty, so there's a violation of state law that allows me to seek the removal of those who've abdicated their responsibility. Let's play this out. If they do not get removed by this court, this process is going to continue. I'm going to call special session after special session after special session. They could remain in hiding for literally years, tying the hands of the state of Texas from performing essential government needs. That cannot be allowed, and that's exactly why I should prevail in my lawsuit to have this Democrat removed from office, because they are denying Texas the ability to conduct business.
I mean, not entirely, though, right? Because, I mean, there are filing deadlines for candidates in September and November, and then in March, of course, would be the primaries in Texas. So they really, I mean, I'm not advocating this, but they really only need to wait you out until the fall.
Yeah. So, sorry, Jake, that's not the case. Because I can call a special session at any time to have these districts redrawn. And even if we get to and beyond the filing deadline, we are still going to redraw these maps. And before we've done this, what we can do again, and that is have two different elections, one for all the other candidates on the ballot, one for members of Congress. And that's exactly what we'll do this time. If they think all they have to do is wait it out until November, December, they're wrong. I'm going to do this for the next 2 years, and they're going to have to basically take up residency in Illinois. They may as well start voting in Illinois. Well,
let me ask you just this final question, sir, as a bigger picture item, which is, what's unusual about this is that you're attempting to do it in 2025, as opposed to waiting till the end of the decade, as normally is when the redistricting takes place. You've explained the Supreme Court decision that led you to do this. But what's going on, obviously, is not happening in Texas, is not happening in a vacuum. We have Democrats in California and New York and other states saying, well, if Governor Abbott does this in Texas, we're going to add 5 Democratic seats. Are you not worried at all about a redistricting, gerrymandering arms race going on? And theoretically, is it not just better for voters to be picking their politicians instead of politicians to be picking their voters through gerrymandering?
Well, to be clear, listen, all those big blue states, they've already gerrymandered. Look at the map of Illinois. Look at the map of California, New York, and Massachusetts, and so many other blue states. They gerrymandered a long time ago. They got nothing left with regard to what they can do. And know this, if California tries to gerrymander 5 more districts, listen, Texas has the ability to eliminate 10 Democrats in our state. We can play that game more than they can because they have fewer Republican districts in their states.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
This raises a big question. Are these changes really about helping voters, or are they about keeping power? This interview shows how divided American politics can be. It also reminds us how important it is to protect fair elections. When leaders change the rules or try to remove opponents, it can weaken trust in democracy. Do you agree with Governor Abbott's reasons, or do you think Jake Tapper was right to challenge him? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if you care about fair elections. Subscribe for more balanced reporting and honest conversations.